Hi, my name is Rena Makhdoom. I enhance women on the outside to ignite the inside and help them achieve their dreams and goals. How do we know that our thinking is off? There are things we do that kind of self-sabotage us. In this video, I'm going to share 5 ways that we mess our thinking so that instead of helping us achieve what we want, it keeps us stuck. The first way that we influence our thinking and keep us stuck is by using terms like always and never. That always happens. It's never good when this happens. It always rains. The weather is always bad. Whenever I try, I always fail. Using words like always and never. Using words like always and never are usually not accurate, and they're a way of stopping us. Like, no one ever wants to do business with me. I never get a call back when I apply for a job. No one ever loved me. We know that's not true. We know that we have been on time, that we have gotten jobs, that people are out there that do care about us and love us. Using this kind of a generalization of always and never does not help us. The first way is I would drop the always and the never and get into more realistic language. I'm really focusing on being on time. I give myself the grace and the space I need so I can arrive on time. We switch it to something that actually works. The next way that we really self-sabotage ourselves with stinking thinking is by blaming people, or blaming the environment, or worse, blaming the government. I cannot tell you how many people, vote one way politically or the other way politically. And when their party is in office, they're all happy. But when the other party is in office, they're blaming the government for their lack of money, their lack of jobs, the kids' schooling. Shifting blame takes power away from us, right? Because if we're not responsible for it, if the government's responsible, or the weather's responsible, or our boss is responsible, or our parents are responsible, or our kids are responsible, or the spouse is responsible, then we don't have the power to change. Whatever we are responsible for, we have the power to change. We're not going to blame because we want to keep the power. It's really funny. I was listening to a book that was written in 1971. And they were trying to give a little background of what was going on in the country in 1971. 50 years ago, the prices were too high, political parties were fighting, and people were having a hard time finding jobs. Gosh, that's today too. Nothing has really changed. I also said in 1971, which I loved in this book, that the world was overpopulated, that it was almost 5 billion in people. And isn't that the exact same thing that we are saying now? Over 50 years, human beings have the same problems, and some people were super successful and lived amazing lives and got whatever they wanted, even with those same conditions for the same 50 years that we are facing. Blaming our era or the population or our financial situation or the fact that we have the skills or don't have the skills does not help. Go get the skills, go change your finances, take a class, learn something. Heck, there's free videos everywhere. With social media, you can just get any kind of education and training almost for free. Instead of blaming, I would say invest into yourself and make a change. The third reason is that people don't get what they want is they have a way of looking at the world and only seeing the problems. If you are a news watcher, that's basically the news, right? They just tell you all the problems. They'll tell you all the parents that beat their kids up that day or maybe killed their kids that day. They don't tell you about the thousands of parents that day that took care of their sick children, took their kids to school, shaved their heads because their kid was in cancer treatment and they didn't want the kid to be conscious, so the whole family took off their hair too. If we look at this city and how many parents hurt their kids today compared to how many parents sacrificed their kids and supported their kids today, there would be such a big difference. Let's focus on the ones that made a difference. Just as for every person that takes advantage of someone, there's someone running a nonprofit or an organization to get clothes to other people, to get food to other people, to give rides to other people. For as many people that there are hurting people or taking their money, there's tens and hundreds of more that are serving them and have their life mission to make an impact in doing that. But the news somehow seems to skip all the parents that do something great for their kids. They seem to skip all the people that are out there serving and making a difference, and they just focus on all the crimes. We've been conditioned into this mentality with the media we've been fed. If the story doesn't have like bloodshed and violence and some kind of scandal, they don't put it on the news. If the news was all about great stuff, most people wouldn't tune in. Our subconscious is programmed for lack and attack. Most of this media gives us is there's not enough food, lack, right? There's not enough jobs, there's not enough food, there's not enough money, or attack. These people are out to get you. Those people are out to get you. What your boss isn't telling you, what your insurance company isn't telling you. We're getting attacked by these people or some other country or some other race. So lack and attack are not good places to focus. One of the first things my mentor told me to do was turn off the news. And I am telling you, I have not watched the news in 3 decades. I am very informed. I know what is going on in the current situation. It's good to be informed. You don't need to be inundated. Take off the negative filters and focus on what's going right. We're not going to use always and ever. We're not going to blame people. We're not going to see whatever is going on that is wrong. The next thing we want to focus on is putting false expectations on ourselves. I should be more caring. I should have more time. I should work less. I should work more. I should spend more time with my kids. I should do this. I should do that. We don't want to shit all over ourselves. We want to have realistic expectations and sit down and schedule what we are willing to do and what we are not willing to do, instead of putting these shoulds all over ourselves and feeling bad because things are not happening the way we want them to. Should is not enough to cause action. So saying I should eat healthier is not going to get you to eat healthier. I always ask someone on a scale of 1 to 10, if they want something, how important is that for you? Anything that is an 8 or below is a no. They're like, oh, it's a 7, it's an 8, it's a no. You're not gonna do what you should think you are doing. So anything below an 8 is a no. The final tip I would give to you is think of a caring friend or a caring relative would say. So, one of my biggest supporters was my grandma. What would my grandmother say in this situation? Let's say something goes wrong and my grandma's passed, but I could imagine like my grandma standing there. What would she say about this situation? What would be her perspective? We get out of our head, we imagine someone else's perspective. The other thing that I often do is when I'm 80, and I look back at my life, is this going to be a significant event? Is this going to be something that defines me, that I am like, oh my gosh, this was so bad?